God, right? And so I was out here loving on Bay. All right. I had to put that out there. So probably a couple months ago, a solid 2 months ago, I was getting my hair done. And that week I kept entering into conversations with people where they were talking about how they had to throw away or get rid of some kind of object that had evil intentions or origins, right? And you know, when you have conversations with people and stuff keep coming up, so it feel like, oh, the Lord, you must want me to do the same thing. So I was like, okay. So I sat in I was getting my hair done, and I sat in the chair, and I was like, okay, God, if there's anything you want me to get rid of that has evil origins, let me know. I'm thinking the Lord finna say, all them shoes or that shirt or that book in the back of your closet that you didn't realize you had. Literally what entered my mind was Beyonce. I said, wait. I'm like, that's just my subconscious. Like, that's not the Lord saying that I got to get rid of Beyonce, right? Because I just refused. I refused to believe that Jesus didn't want me to still, like, be T-Bag. So when that happened, one of the lyrics to Black Parade kept entering my mind, right? And it was the lyric where she says, some Oshun energy. And that kept going in my mind. And I felt like the Lord was like, just study. Just research. Just read. Like, you ain't even gotta be all that deep. Just read. And so I was like, okay, who is Oshun? I went down the biggest deep dive for some days on Yoruba spirituality, on Oshun or Orishas, on all the things. And I realized after doing some research, since Lemonade, that's where the shift was. Since Lemonade, she has centered false deities and embodied them, right? So in Lemonade, when she comes out with the yellow dress on and the water and all the things, like she becomes or tries to embody these false gods and the worship of ancestors, right? And so I was just like, I really felt some type of way. One, I felt some type of way because I was just like, but I like the music. I like the music. But I also felt some type of way because I didn't realize how blind I was. Because I liked the music so much that I didn't have discernment. The music made witchcraft beautiful. And that's the problem. And I was looking up also Black is King, and Black is King, when it came out, I thought that thing was so like aesthetically fire. Like I was just like, oh, like all the little scenes and all the stuff, right? And I remember cats that I know that are African or people on Instagram that are African, all of them was like, oh, this is the body, this is witchcraft, this is this. And I was mad at them because I was like, why y'all gotta be so deep? Like, why y'all can't just like, why y'all can't just enjoy the art? Because I'm a creative, right? And so I value creativity. I'm like, why y'all can't just... But what was happening was they had the eyes to see and the ears to hear. And because I liked the art and the music so much, I actually rejected their wisdom. And now I see. They knew what they were talking about. Because with Black is King, for example, like every scene, bro, every scene is her centering some kind of deity. It's multiple, even to the point that there's this scene where she's dressed like a cow, and she has this circle on top of her head, right? And what she's embodying, because it ain't even like speculation, it's like facts, right? So in that scene, she's dressed like a bull named Apis, A-P-I-S. I know Apis because I taught a text at Glory 2 years ago on Exodus 33 about the golden calf. I asked the question when I was researching that text, Why did the Israelites make a cow to worship? Why didn't they make any other animal? And it's because they just came out of Egypt. One of the preeminent deities in Egypt was Apis. But now we have Beyonce becoming a false god in Black is King, embodying the golden calf that God judged Israel for. I felt away. I felt like, wow, why didn't I see this? I didn't want to see it. I didn't want to see it. So at the end of the night, after I did all my research, I deleted every Beyonce album off my phone. And I'm not even gonna lie to you, I lamented that. There was grief because I told Preston, Beyonce is such a big part of my life. And not my life like I was listening to her every day, but when I think about moments, like I remember being 8, right, at Christmas and receiving her CD. I remember being with my friends when an album would drop and us listening to it and sharing over it. I remember going to concerts with friends and enjoying the concert, right? So there's these moments in my life that Beyonce is a part of. And so to cut it off or to remove it felt like, wow, like this is sad, but I have to be willing to trust that protecting my heart from evil is a good thing, right? Like I have to be willing to believe that there are spiritual realities at play that as a wise Christian, I should not be opening myself up to. So here's this conversation now. To me, the issue is less about Beyonce and more about the necessity of wisdom. I think we have a wisdom problem. And moving forward, these are the ways that you can apply this wisdom in different contexts. So for example, I think when it comes to something like Beyonce, right, that's like a really big, obvious thing to me. But I think if we lack wisdom when it comes to participating in the big things that represent occult and witchcraft, then there is the potential that we are also lacking wisdom in the minor things, such as, should I go out with this person? Should I be this person's friend? Should I pursue this job? Should I read this book, right? And so I think wisdom in the big stuff can trickle down into wisdom in the day-to-day life stuff, right? Okay, so I say all that to say, 1 Corinthians 10, I think is a really helpful frame for this conversation. Paul writes to Corinth, and between chapters 8 and 10, he's dealing with the subject of meat sacrificed to idols, right? And he starts this way, which I think is interesting. He says, "For I do not want you to be unaware, brothers," so don't be ignorant, have knowledge, "that our fathers were all under the cloud and all passed through the sea and all were baptized into Moses in the cloud and in the sea and all ate the same spiritual food. But nevertheless, with most of them, God was not pleased." That is really helpful in this conversation because it says these are the people who were a part of a covenant community. These are the people that were delivered. These are the people that were fed by God, but these are also the people that God was not happy with. And so what is at stake in a conversation is we cannot be arrogant in thinking that just because we are Christians, that God will not be displeased if we participate in certain things, right? Okay. Now, in verse 14, he says, "Therefore, my beloved, flee from idolatry. I speak as to sensible, wise people. Judge for yourselves what I say." Listen to this. "The cup of blessing that we bless, is it not a participation in the blood of Christ? The bread that we break, is it not a participation in the body of Christ?" Then he says, 19, "What do I imply then? Follow me, that food offered to idols is anything, or that an idol is anything? No, I imply that what pagan sacrifice they offer to demons." What's the point? The point